TikTok shop fulfillment is one of the most misunderstood parts of TikTok. And the problem is, if you get this wrong, TikTok doesn't warn you, it just quietly stops pushing your products. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through exactly all the different options you have for fulfillment on TikTok, the pros and cons of each, and how to set everything up step by step inside Seller Center. So let's get into it. All right, so let's jump into fulfillment settings. There's basically 3 overall TikTok shipping options, and you can use one, and sometimes you can use a combination of the 3. Ultimately, you should choose the one that's best for your business, but they can impact everything from delivery speed, operational complexity, cost, and obviously your shop performance score. Let's start with a high-level overview. So the first option is seller shipping. So seller shipping means that TikTok is not generating the label for you. So in a lot of cases, you might have great rates with your 3PL or your own warehouse, or even using Amazon MCF, which is multi-channel fulfillment. And so you're basically telling TikTok, hey, I can provide my own labels. I'm not going to use yours. And so basically what you need to do is then connect your Amazon like multi-channel fulfillment or your FBA inventory to TikTok shop. So every order is passed on automatically, including the tracking number, which is super important for TikTok shop. So that's the first option. Second option is TikTok shipping. This one's pretty intuitive, but this is where TikTok shop is generating the label directly inside the Seller Center and automatically attaches the tracking number to the order. And then the third option is FBT or fulfilled by TikTok. And so very similar to how Amazon has FBA, TikTok has their own version, which is FBT. And so ultimately what you're doing is you're sending in inventory to a TikTok approved warehouse, and then they're going to handle everything from the storage, the pick and pack, shipping, returns, you name it. Let's go through the pros and cons of each. So with seller shipping, you don't really have to change much. If you're already fulfilling for other marketplaces or whatever, you're just taking on more orders coming in from a new channel like TikTok shop. Again, like I mentioned, you could have kind of a few different options. You could be doing your own warehouse. You could be doing a third-party 3PL. You could be doing Amazon MCF, and probably most attractive for sellers that already have the infrastructure in place. I would assume from a cost perspective, this is actually the worst of the 3, just because most likely TikTok shop is doing way more volume naturally, and they're passing on some of those discounted rates for you. So in terms of unit economics, probably not the best. Now, one other thing to consider. So if you're using Amazon to fulfill your orders for TikTok shop, if you're skyrocketing your sales on both TikTok and Amazon, then Amazon can sometimes delay shipping your items. And that happened a lot in 2024. I don't see it as much in 2025, but it can be a really huge issue if Amazon doesn't pass back the tracking info on time or anything like that. Then it can ding your shop performance score on TikTok shop. And we already talked about, what repercussions that can have. Yeah, and then another huge bonus is obviously if you're already tracking inventory in your own warehouse, or let's say within your 3PL, then it's not adding an additional layer of complexity. So now let's go into the pros and cons of TikTok shop shipping. Yeah, again, TikTok is generating the label inside the Seller Center, which automatically attaches the tracking. So this kind of removes some of the failure points, which is really nice. And TikTok shipping can be cheaper than seller shipping because they're passing on their negotiated rates. That's a big plus. And so naturally, for any product, I would be comparing the rates and seeing whose is better. And then I would just kind of go through that. And then the third one is FBT, or fulfilled by TikTok. And so in this one, again, you're sending in inventory to TikTok's warehouses, and then they're handling everything from storage to returns and fulfillment, you name it. So the pros for FBT is that it's faster delivery often, better return handling. They're fulfilling 7 days a week, and they have some TikTok branded packaging, which is kind of nice. From a cost perspective, they're usually the cheapest. And so at least from what we've seen, we're saving a little bit on each order just by going through FBT. And then so the trade-offs is obviously you have to do more inventory planning. You have less direct control over the inventory. So if you need to remove it or destroy for whatever reason you didn't sell it through, they're going to charge you more money to remove that inventory. The biggest thing actually is that if there's any delivery issue, and you're shipping through FBT, then naturally they're going to take the responsibility versus if you're doing, let's say, seller shipping and the package gets lost or is delivered late or whatever, then you have to kind of deal with it because it's more on you. So yeah, this is where you're seeing the shipping settings. So if you go to orders, then you can see the fulfillment settings here, shipping settings. I'm going to start here. And so you can kind of go through it, and then you can kind of see where you do a shipping template over here. And so you can basically go in here, you create a template name, you can do it weight-based or quantity-based. And then what you're going to do is decide whether you want to do free economy or if you want to do charge for shipping, all that kind of stuff. And then you can select, which states you're shipping to. Yeah, you can set different pricing. And actually, let me see if I can edit this. But yeah, you can select the different states that you're shipping to. and ultimately kind of change how things are set up within the shipping settings, which is pretty cool. Yeah, you can also over here set up your handling time. And so, I would generally suggest that you do kind of manual, and then I would do probably 2 business days in the beginning. Make sure that you're hitting that KPI. And then if you feel comfortable, then move it to 1. And then obviously they have different rules around specifically shipping on the weekends and, not requiring you to be actually shipping. It's based on business days. But yeah, you could also be using automatic handling time if you prefer. And then so then over here, you can kind of select your label creation or printing. So you can do print labels upon shipment or print labels after shipment. So yeah, naturally, I would probably do print labels upon shipment just because it's gonna be a little bit faster. And then over here, you have your warehouse settings. So you can basically set up your warehouse with the address and everything. I'll show you how this works. But then, yeah, you're putting in, all the basic information, like the person's contact information, their phone number, what region they're in, the postal code, and then where your products can be delivered again. And so ultimately, this is more for seller and TikTok shipping. But yeah, you're able to add multiple warehouses if you want here. And then naturally, you can add a return warehouse as well. So let's say you want to switch over from seller shipping to TikTok shipping. You can go over here to within delivery settings, you go to switch option over here. And then you can basically go to TikTok shipping. And then you can go through this shipping calculator just so you can kind of see. And then you basically put in your warehouse, put in kind of an example zip code that you'd be shipping to. You can do the type of shipment based on like the boxes. Obviously you're adding your package weight and your package dimensions, delivery options, all that kind of stuff. And then it's going to give you a proposed rate. And then you can decide which one's better for you. Yeah, so then within your fulfillment settings, you can also put in rules around cancellations, returns, and refunds, which I think is really cool. So for instance, for cancellations, you can do an auto approve cancellations rule. And so if you want, you can go over here, you add a rule, and then you can basically create some kind of policy name. And then you can, select what your product category is. These are the reasons why that you're accepting a return. And then you could do it within a certain refund range. And then they're basically suggesting that the maximum price is less than $30. You can do effective immediately or starting a certain date. And then, or you can have it within a certain time period. And then you can give them within like a remorse window. So like, okay, we know within the first 48 hours or, within the next, or however you want to do it. And then, or you could do it based, I wouldn't do this time one. I don't think that makes sense. But yeah, within like however many hours, something like that. So, and then you can also do a cancellation window. And so you can do, automatically if they cancel within 1, 5, 24 hours or within TikTok Shop's cancellation policy. And then also you can do returns and refunds as well. And then so you can create more rules around whether you want to do partial refunds, refunds without returns, auto approval refunds, return window, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, there's a lot of customization that you can do here, which is really cool. So kind of jumping over to FBT. So you can kind of see over here, TikTok did like kind of a cool kind of comparison of like, okay, approximately if you're doing seller shipping, it's gonna be around $8 a unit. If you're doing TikTok shipping, it's around $5.68. And then fulfilled by TikTok, it's gonna be about 4.7. And so you can kind of see how that works. It has its own platform, just to be clear. And then you need to connect your seller center to FBT because it's kind of a separate platform, which is interesting. But you can kind of see over here, like how they're viewing their different warehouses and they're constantly adding more and more, which is cool. So one thing about FBT is that you do need to get approved. And so if you want, reach out. We are happy to help try and get you guys fast-tracked and approved for FBT. A common question that I get asked is free shipping. How do you decide at what price point? Should I do it? Should I not? And I don't think there's necessarily a one answer for every brand. I think obviously it depends on your price point, your margins, like what's going on in the category. So I think the best way to decide is to act like a customer. Like go on a TikTok shop and look at your competitors and then basically try adding a product to cart and then see are they offering free shipping or not. If they aren't, then I would add a second item and then see like, okay, did I hit a certain threshold now where I am like basically hitting that free shipping threshold? And that's like a great way to decide. Yeah, in more competitive categories, the free shipping threshold could be like for every order or like $30. Yeah, again, just kind of depends on the category. But yeah, generally over $30, it's going to be free shipping. And then yeah, as it relates to FBT, they're a little bit more specific and their rules are a little bit different. They're really pushing free shipping within FBT. So I think it was as of June 2025, basically all products started qualifying for free shipping by default. And so they removed the $30 threshold. And so you can kind of opt out if you want, but yeah, there's certain kind of rules around that. So yeah, once you log into the FBT dashboard, there you can track your inventory, monitor your fulfillment balances, look at your storage and fulfillment costs. Yeah, no matter what you're doing, I would always go and place a test order. So basically once you connect everything, connecting your shipping option to the product, then really make sure, like, go as a customer, place an order, make sure that everything routes correctly. Your 3PL ends up shipping the item and passing the tracking code back and all that kind of stuff before really starting to scale, sending out samples, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. My last kind of words of advice is, in the beginning, as you're starting to scale the channel, kind of flexibility is nice. If you're kind of wanting to start more conservatively and you're not necessarily sure about TikTok Shop, then I would probably fill through Amazon or through your 3PL so that you don't have to pay a ton of removal fees and stuff like that in case you don't sell through. But yeah, as you start scaling, obviously your unit economics matter a lot more, and now you have more conviction on the channel. And so for sure, 9 out of 10 times, or maybe even 10 out of 10 times, I'm recommending FBT for our clients. That's the full breakdown of all the different fulfillment options for TikTok Shop. And so if you understand this part, now you're ahead of a lot of sellers. If this video helped, please do me a favor and hit subscribe below. This is still a really small and new channel, and subscribing really helps us in the channel. In the next video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to build an affiliate army on Shop, how brands are actually recruiting creators at scale, structuring commissions, turning creators into a real distribution channel instead of these one-off posts. And if you ever wanna talk TikTok Shop strategy, there's a link in the description below. See you in the next one.